Hello? Hello? I think you guys can hear me. Hello, everyone! How's everyone doing? Everyone, as in single person, which is probably me just watching me through my own stream. But hello, to anyone watching the VOD. Today I'm going to be playing some more Splatoon! Just like all the other times I've been playing games on here. I promise it's not just all going to be Splatoon. It's gonna be more stuff. It's gonna be... If you didn't see the VODs, I did an art stream working on my VTuber. So that's something I've been working on. But today I'm gonna be playing some Splatoon. But before I do that, there's a video I wanna do a reaction to. And it is a video by a channel called Squidschool. You've if you are been in the Splatoon community, you probably know Squidschool, Gem. He makes amazing content. He's knows what he's talking about in terms of, you know, the competitive scene, and he's really good at coaching. And I really like his videos. And recently he put out 2 videos sort of doing a weapon analysis of the Splatling weapons. He did 2 videos on them. One for the longer range Splatlings and another for the shorter range Splatlings. And you probably don't know, but I main the Splatlings in Splatoon, more specifically the heavy and the mini Splatling. I'm kind of getting into ballpoint. I think ballpoint might be a secret top tier that people haven't really picked up on, but I mostly main mini, and I've been maining mini ever since Splatoon 1. So I've been playing this weapon for, God, maybe 10 or 12 years at this point. I know it was back in, what, 2013, so yeah, about 10 years, 10 or 9 years, I've been playing this one main weapon, and I am very interested to hear what Gem has to say on this weapon. Not only because he is very knowledgeable when it comes to Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3, but sometimes he has opinions that I don't agree with. Which is fine, you know? Which is fine. But, you know, I think if you're putting yourself out there, you need to be open to criticism. And I think that because I main these weapons, I might be able to have some interesting input on, you know, what he's talking about. But more specifically, I'm interested to what he has to say about mini Splatling, because right now mini Splatling isn't really in a good spot in Splatoon 3, partly because of Ultra Stamp being a weaker special, but it is, I think it is by no means a bad weapon. It is just the worst Splatling right now. I would say it's like mid to high tier, but you know, I kind of got that emotional kind of bias with the weapon. But I have a feeling Gem is going to, you know, rip mini Splatling to shreds. So that's why I want to listen to what he has to say about it. And I think it would make a really entertaining video. So right now, I'm going to switch back to, let me see, let me get video up on the screen. Let me see, okay, that's there. And you should probably be seeing, Gem's video right now. So before we get into the mini Splatling and shorter range Splatling video, I want to hear what he has to say on the long range Splatlings, because I do main heavy Splatling too. If you main one of the Splatlings, then you kind of have, you know, having experience in the other Splatlings is good. Just because they all mechanically play similar. So yeah, I'm interested to hear what he has to say. I'm interested in what he has to say about ballpoint because I have some opinions about ballpoint that I think are gonna be different from what other people in the community have to say about ballpoint. But like I said, I'm just now figuring out the weapon, and I'm interested in what he has to say. So let's get into this. Let me pull up his video.
With weapon select, and this time we're doing
Okay,
splatling.
it's playing. Okay.
We're doing spinny gun, and I brought.
Oh, I should also mention, I do have Splatoon 3 pulled up on my other monitor, so if Jem has something interesting to say, and I want to kind of respond to that, I'm gonna pull up Splatoon 3 so that I can kind of give an example of what I'm talking about. God, it's so noisy downstairs. If you hear dogs barking in a lawnmower, just ignore that, please. You know, there's not much I can do. Hold on one second. Maybe I can ask. Maybe I can ask for my family to quiet down a tad. Okay, no one's picking up, so. Oh well, I guess we'll just have to endure. So let's get this party started. Oh, it's an hour-long video. I might, depending on, because I know he also goes into, goes into matches with the weapon. And so I might skip around the matches just to speed this up a little bit. So yeah, let's get this started.
Along some spinny gunners who are going to tell me everything I'm doing wrong because this is definitely not my weapon class. Well,
and again, yeah. So he's brought on some guests in order to help him, and that's also partly why I wanted to watch this video, because like you just said, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience with this weapon, or this weapon class in general. So I feel like I said, I feel like I could give some interesting input in regards to that.
welcome Aplo and Devi.
Are you sure I'm here? That sounded like a question.
It's just gonna. I put it up in the class in the general case, and then we move on from there to talking about the individual variants. I think that, you know, maybe you guys feel differently about this, but
I'm gonna pull up on my screen Splatoon 3 while I already have it pulled up. I'm gonna equip the weapon that he's equipping so that if he makes an interesting point, I can just pull it up real quick.
my take is that I think the most kind of standard splatling, the one that's kind of the default, is the heavy splatling. That it's like got a little bit of everything that the other splatlings do, and that it functions the most like you would expect a splatling to play. So I think we'll start there, but first, splatlings as a whole.
He is correct. If you want to get into learning how to play any of the splatlings, heavy is probably the easiest to learn. Well, I mean, it's not the easiest to learn, but if you're trying to learn how to play splatlings, heavy is going to have most of the is going to have like the main mechanics you want to practice in regards to how this weapon class plays. And it doesn't get bogged down by any of the other mechanics of the other weapons. I would say heavy and mini are probably the easiest to learn. But they're also, like I said, they're also splatlings, so they have more mechanics than just a regular shooter. So
Splatlings are a funky weapon because where is my aim reticle? Oh, there it is. Also, because when you press ZR, it doesn't always shoot a bunch. If you press and hold ZR, it's like, where are my shots? What's going on? Because you have to charge before you can fire, similar to a charger, but it doesn't have it in the name, so you're not ready for it. Gasp. When you fire, it goes really, really fast, and it goes really, really far. But since we've got this big gap in between when we press the ZR button and when we can actually release shots, it's not like if you were to give that sort of fire capability to a shooter, in which case it would be broken as all heck. Splatlings are a little bit slower to move around. They require careful positional play so that you don't have that period of vulnerability during a time when someone is able to actually shoot at you. And as such, there aren't really very many frontline splatlings. The closest you get is like a midline splatling generally, and usually those are like gonna play off somebody else starting the fight and then finishing them.
Yeah, what he's saying is mostly correct. Yes, there aren't really many, like, frontline, splatlings. The closest thing to a frontline splatling would be the mini splatling, just because it's the shortest range. But generally, splatlings are gonna be, mid to long range. I'd say, the class weapon he's playing right now, Heavy, is a, I would consider it a midline anchor. I wouldn't consider it a backline, I don't think. Just because even though it has that range, it does still have that charge time. So your sphere of influence is going to be dependent on sorry. There's a lawnmower in the background. It's very distracting. So yeah, this sphere of influence that you have with let's say a normal weapon like a shooter. You shoot, as long as you have ink, you are able to generally control the area within the effective range of that weapon. With a splatling, it's different because you're only able to control your sphere of influence, your sphere of control kind of breathes with how you charge the weapon. So so functionally it does have that longer range, but in practice you're gonna have to play a bit more defensively and possibly get a little bit closer sometimes in order to make the most use out of the weapon. He also mentioned that yes, it does have, that charge, delay of that, you have to be able to charge the weapon before, you actually shoot that volley of, like, shots. But it's not as much of a disadvantage as you might think. If you practice, it's why I say heavy splatling is a good, if you're trying to learn the weapon, because it forces you to practice doing partial charges, like killing with partial charges. You don't always have to charge your splatling all the way to the max charge before shooting. So the fact that it has to charge I wouldn't say is necessarily a disadvantage. More so, it's it is a disadvantage, but it's a disadvantage that you can play around and you can catch people off guard because they expect you, like if you're shooting the heavy and your charge ends, they're like, oh, I can run up on this guy, right? Well, if you're a good enough player, you can kill with a partial charge, the fact that you're able to, I don't have a charge. It's not like chargers where you can't, where you have to charge up all the way in order to splat the opponent, aside from GooTuber and Bamboozler. Those that you can either kill have to kill in multiple shots, or you have to Or with the Gootuber, you can kill with a partial charge, which is why I really like playing the Gootuber, because it's most similar to the Splatling type weapons in terms of chargers. But yeah.
For the most part. Because it's really hard to push in and actually get on top of an opponent if the way that you have to fight is by, like, peeking out from behind a wall and then jumping back behind the wall.
That's not really how you play. I mean, you can use peeking because it's a longer range weapon, but the Splatlings aren't as vulnerable as the Chargers are in terms of, because like I said, with a Charger, you have to get it all the way up to the full charge in order for it to be effective, and you have to land your shot really good. You have to have really good aim. With Splatlings, you can kind of threaten, you can be out in the open and kind of threaten with your range, if there aren't a whole lot of, like, backline chargers that can threaten you with their range. So I would say you're not, well, at least for me, you're not really going to be peeking out behind the corners so much. I mean, you do sometimes, but it's not as much as something with a charger.
Again, that's not
at least
really
the way I play it.
Short-range shooter way. That's not really what you're gonna be looking at with something with like a sploosh. Like, you can't play that way with a Splatling because you've always got this charge time to account for. So a couple of things.
Yeah, so you're not. It's less about trying to. It's not that you're trying to fight or play the weapon with the disadvantage that you have to charge. It's more so that you have to be able to play around the charge. It's almost like you're playing like a rhythm game. You have to be able to tell, oh, I got this much charge, I have this much that's going to come out. I charge a little bit more, and then I can throw out more ink, right? So it's kind of like this, like I said, it's kind of like breathing in a way. Like this breathing sphere of influence that you have with how long you're able to shoot your weapon versus how quickly it's able to charge up.
The box around your reticle is showing, where those shots could potentially go. There is aim RNG, and as such, sometimes, the shots aren't going to go exactly where you want them to. Depends on the weapon, of course, how much they have. Most Splatlings, if you drop down into your ink, you lose your charge immediately. The exception being the Nautilus, where you can actually charge hold. And that's one thing that makes that weapon a little bit more capable of frontlining.
Run speed?
Run speed?
Run speed.
Run speed. Yeah. So, again, the fact that you're able to pop in and out of your ink while, charging your weapon, it kind of behaves... That's another thing with the Splatlings. Because, you can hold your charge and then go into the ink, you're able to cancel out the charge that you had before you shoot it. So if you charge up and then you see you have the white ink in your ink tank, you can get all that ink back by just popping into your, back into the ink, right? So there's a technique with shooters where you just kind of pop in and out of the ink while holding your, the shoot button, and that's called main strafing. Splatlings can also main strafe, but it's more like charge strafing. So in a way, Splatlings can be more mobile than Chargers, because with the Chargers, popping in and out of the ink while you're having the charge held, is a lot slower. You'll like go in and then pop out, and there'll be a delay, and you'll go in and pop out. So in Splatlings do have a tiny bit of a delay when doing that, but it's not as bad as the Chargers. Again, the only Charger that's kind of different in that regard would be the Gootuber, because its charge hold isn't just really long, it also can pop out of its charge hold really quickly. And I think that's the main strength of Gootuber. So it's that's why I say like Gootuber plays similarly to Splatlings, because you're able to pop in and out of the ink while so you get a charge, but let's say, oh, I'm not in the right position. And Splatlings can charge up fast enough to where refilling your ink tank by popping back into your ink isn't big of an issue. But yeah, like Jem said, Nautilus is able to play more frontliney because of give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? Oh, yeah.
Run speed?
Run speed?
With the Splatlings, you're not going to want to be spending a lot of time swimming, because swimming cancels your charge unless you are...
Sorry about that. I got a call.
Nautilus. And so, in order to stay mobile as much as you can, a Splatling will run a lot of run speed. Usually something like 2 mains. And so you can see that's why I have been running this much of it on my gear. Don't worry, I'll just edit this into the front of the video. It'll be fine.
Yeah, you definitely want more run speed with the longer range Splatlings. It's not as important on some of the shorter range Splatlings because they're a bit more mobile. But yeah, run speed is really good because you're able to keep your charge and you're able to threaten with your charge. But like I said, it's not a it's not a necessity for you to be constantly holding your charge and then running everywhere as opposed to going in your ink. Sometimes you want to hold your charge and be able to peek around corners using the run speed and, you know, being able to threaten with your charge more. But it's not a necessity. You don't always have to have a full charge in order to use, you know, the Splatling. Sometimes it's better to use your partial charges sometimes.
And you can see how much charge you have, because as you start charging up, there's this circle that fills up over time. And once that circle goes down to empty, that's when you're going to run out of shots to fire. So you can be keeping track of exactly when the shots are going to run out, and exactly how many shots you're going to have in the first place, just by looking at how much that circle has filled up. If I'm correct, especially with, like, the early charge, like before you get full charge, you have less range. Here's like quarter charge. Here's about half charge. Okay, so it does actually increase over time. Here's like 3/4 charge.
Does it? I think it does. I think he's right. Let me just double check. Time to switch over to my... Time to switch over this. So I got Heavy Splatling up and running. I don't think it does. The range doesn't change. So that's it. See, I can cancel out my charge. I guess it does. Huh. I guess I just never noticed. I guess it's just... Right. I was saying with the breathing, because if you have the charge... But it does go up pretty quickly. Like, once you get to here, that's about at your max range. So... But if you just do a partial like that... I mean, it's about as effective as if you're doing... Yeah, but if you're partial charging like this, it's because someone is already kind of on your ass, right? So I just never noticed that. Usually when I'm doing the partial charges, I'm kind of more up close and personal like this. Notice how it kind of, yeah, see? As you hold the charge, you can see the range is slightly increasing. Now I'm curious. I want to see if, does Hydra also do that? I just want to double check. See, now I'm learning things. Yeah, it's also doing that too. So once it gets to the first ring is at your max range, and then the second ring is your max charge. Okay. But no, yeah, Gem is right. I was because I guess I just never noticed because, I mean, it makes sense. I guess I just picked up on it instinctively. But yeah, if you're using the partial charges like this, you're gonna be close range anyway. So see, this is what I mean by Heavy can play a little bit closer and a little bit more upfront than chargers can, because with a charger, you gotta get your full... Yeah, like a charger isn't going to be playing at this range. It's gonna be playing more further back. Damn it. See, I'm not used to playing Splat Charger. There we go. Yeah, but it can't play at this range because look at the same... Like, the Heavy isn't the Splat Charger of Splatlings. I'd say Hydra is the Splat Charger of Splatlings. But see, if I go back to Heavy... See what I'm doing? I'm like charging up, and then just before my charge ends, like I can do a full charge. See how much it takes up my ink tank? I can go like this, go back in, and all that white ink is restored. So like, it's like managing your charge, your shots, and your ink. But this is what I mean. Like I'm pretty sure you can just kill by... Yeah, see? You don't even need like a big charge in order to shoot. Like, let's see the lowest I can go. Yeah, see, you don't even need a lot. So, when you're more up close like this, you're kind of playing it as a semi-auto type weapon, kind of. Like an H3 or a Squeezer, where you're kind of just like burst firing up close. Whereas, if you want to apply more long-range pressure, you can do this. See? So yeah, it's not necessarily you're holding your complete charge and you're just kind of relying on your run speed. It's managing your short to long range charges and how that affects your ink tank and how that affects how you play. Because like Heavy, like let's say it's around the corner, there's a person around the corner, and then oh shit. See what I mean? Like if it was a charger, I couldn't do that. So you can be a bit more... You don't have to peek around corners as badly as something like... Because I could just come around here. Oh, this guy. Oh, what's this around the corner? Oh. Let's see, I peek around the corner. Oh, it's this guy. See, look how quick that is! So it's you're fluctuating between your range, your charge, your ink tank, and whether or not you're doing long range or doing short range. This is why the Heavy is the best weapon to start out, because not only are you trying to learn all these things from partial charges and managing your ink tank and how that affects your movement, but you have to know that on top of all of the other mechanics the other splatling weapons have. So that's why heavy is like the best weapon to learn at the start if you wanted to learn splatlings. Maybe mini. But yeah, let's get back to the video. Okay.
Yeah, and then with
And then
a little
here's-
hit next.
I'm not sure if it's like as soon as you hit the second ring, or it might
Yeah,
be like as soon as
because it's
you hit
like
the
this.
second ring.
This was like 1/4.
Mhm.
This was like 1/2. So it's like scaling up over time, and I'm not sure exactly at what point it gets to full. Because so like here's max range.
If you notice, you can see that the reticles like line up in order to indicate that you're max range. So the first ring will indicate your max range, the second will indicate your max charge. And I don't believe heavy, I don't think heavy's damage increases over how long you charge. I think the only one that increases its damage as you charge it is Hydra. And I also think, I was gonna say Ballpoint, but I think Ballpoint is actually the opposite. Ballpoint's damage decreases, its damage per second decreases at its max range. Whereas at its shortest range, Ballpoint actually does more damage. So yeah, let's get back to this.
Range. And then, yeah, once you hear that like blinking sound, I think is when you get max range.
The first.
Yeah. The first circle is slower, and then the second circle is really fast. Like a little bit of charge, you're only going to hit so far away from you. You're not going to be able to just use that to hit max range shots. But it is still, you know, your fastest kill time if you need that to be on someone who's gotten right on top of you. And you can kind of work out exactly how much charge you need to hit those so that you get that as fast as possible, because
Exactly.
sometimes people are going to get on top of you, and sometimes you need to be able to just fire very few shots.
Sometimes you can get on top of
And
people
It's
too.
like
Get someone down.
partial charging is. kind
Honestly
of
though, I
because you
prefer
need
people
to-
getting, no,
yeah,
I'm
you
not, I'm
really
not,
have to, like,
I'm not.
time it because
Nah.
you only have a certain window to
Nah.
like, fire your gun and like make use of landing your shots. I'm like more of a charger main. Sorry, fellas, but it's different.
This is where I
from
come
the
in
whole
handy.
charger. Yeah, where you have to
you-
like time it. It's not
That's
like a
that's kind of where
one-shot
you have to
kinda.
give yourself like a little bit of space distance from the person who's
Yeah.
trying to rush at you.
The class in general,
We're
like we mentioned,
We're
tends-
7 minutes into the video and a half-hour total stream time. Damn.
tends more towards. It's
probably more like 20 minutes, though.
Style towards anchoring, and so one resource that I really do want to recommend for any, especially backline splatling, because most of them are backliners, is made by Devi actually.
I wouldn't say most of the splatlings are backliners. There's only one. I would really only consider Hydra to be a backline splatling. The rest of them are either midline anchors or midline support slayers or frontline slayers. And then there's some that play more defensively, some that play more aggressively, but I would really only consider Hydra to be a true backline. I think Heavy can play backline E. It's like kind of backline, midline-ish. But I would definitely say Hydra, or not Hydra, Heavy is an anchor. But it's more of a midline anchor, in my opinion. At least, again, but that's how I play the weapon. I like playing the weapon more mobile because, you know, you can play it more mobile than something like a charger that has to be more stationary. You know, I would say the Heavy is probably just as mobile as like a Squiffer or GooTuber, in terms of its mobility. But it, you know, doesn't have as much range, or I think it has comparable range to those type of weapons, but it doesn't have as much range as something like a splat charger. So that's why I kind of consider it more of a midline anchor type weapon, especially with the kit it's got, and yeah.
She has a Google Drive folder full of images of the maps. I'll put one of them on to position. And often that has been a really valuable resource for players. Don't have a spot that has
Sorry, I'm just
big,
skipping
wide
ahead.
open sight lines, then chargers. If you don't have a spot that has big, wide open sight lines, then you having all this range doesn't do anything for you. And if you don't have a place where you can safely kind of tuck yourself away to get that charge before you start firing, then, you know, you're exposed during all that time you're charging, and you'd better have a good amount of distance between you and someone who's trying to rush you down.
Yes, a bit. You're gonna that is true more so than like normal shooter weapons, but like I said, compared to chargers, splatlings are more mobile. If someone gets up on top of you, and you're splatling, then you're able to react to that better than a charger if you don't have a full charge, just because you're able to you have some leeway, right? You don't have to play a charger or a splatling completely defensively. You're going to play more defensively than a shooter, but not as defensively as something like a charger,
or else that's not going to go well for you. So those are some general positioning tips that will apply for the vast majority of the splatlings here. You know, even the midline ones do need to be really careful about where they put themselves, even if they can get themselves a little bit further in than, say, the heavy can.
It's not even generally where, like, I myself like the position. It's also, like, information gathered from other backlines that I've faced, or just, like, what other, like, backlines have told me where they like to sit. It's information gathered from everywhere, so...
Yeah. So definitely really like that resource, and if you're someone who's trying to get into one of these backline weapons that feels like you're just getting caught out in the wrong place or you're not able to see things, definitely give that a look and see.
I should also mention that I am not a professional Splatoon player. Yes, I have been playing Splatoon for a long time, but I don't play in tournaments. I don't play, with teams or whatever. I don't know a whole lot of people within the Splatoon community. I've just been playing this weapon class for a long time, and I enjoy playing in the solo queue a lot. I think one day it would be fun to try and, find some people and do a tournament, but most of my experience comes down to playing in solo queue. So there's that too. I mostly play in solo queue. Sometimes I play with some of my friends, but that's the perspective. That's what mostly my perspective is playing this weapon class.
There's something you can learn from looking at why those positions are where they are. So for the heavy splatling, sprinkler, not generally, a sub weapon that people are getting really excited about.
True.
But when you've got a sub weapon, you want to use it. You don't want to just, give up all of that utility. And like Devi said, there are definitely times where using that sprinkler can be helpful.
So, in the heavies case, for example, if someone's, rushing towards you and you realize, you don't have the time window to be able to get this partial charge and then have it, actually, release from your weapon, that takes a certain period of time, which is why... it's considered more slower, just because you still have that little bit of extra time that you need to get the shots out. So, especially with distance, so that's where handy dandy little sprinkler happens, and I usually just place it at my feet, give myself a little space.
Yeah, that does work. I don't find myself. I've gotten really good at just charging and spraying my feet with the splatling and managing my charge, so I don't do that as much, but I do see how that can be helpful. I mostly use the way I use sprinkler is that I will throw one in base at the beginning so that I'm starting to get my special charged up, and then I'll put those in, also put the sprinkler in areas where it's going to be annoying for the opponents. You can put sprinklers in areas where that the opponents are just going to have to deal with the sprinkler. They're either going to have to engage in with what's in front of them, or get, you know, and get ink on their feet, or they're going to have to focus on the sprinkler for like a split second. And sometimes that can make all the difference. Sometimes I'm throwing it out as like a decoy or distraction. Sometimes I'll also place it on the tower to sort of ink as the tower is moving, because you know, usually sprinkler is in a stationary spot where, you know, there isn't going to be movement. You can also put sprinkler on areas where there is movement, so you can get more turf that way. You can also use sprinkler as kind of like a ad hoc kind of shield. So you can place like sprinkler on the tower, kind of to block some shots while you're standing on it. You can also put it near wave breaker for it to also get a couple more to kind of defend that area a bit more where the wave breaker is. It's not just the painting tool. You can use it in a couple of different ways other than just as a painting tool. You know, use it as a distraction, use it as like just a couple of extra, you know, shield before, you know, if someone's trying to be more aggressive towards you.
And then a lot of times if they're like really tunnel visioning you, they'll actually take a couple hits from the sprinkler, which means that you don't have to like get as much charge. So still like aiming from a quarter to a half.
For one thing, the sprinkler is actually kind of useful as a mobility tool. A lot
Yeah.
of short-range shooters will paint by like putting one little speck of paint at their feet and then swimming through it, and then putting another little speck of paint and swimming through it. Well, you can kind of do that with the splatling, but you have to charge a little first, and sometimes those shots are not going to come out.
What? Like, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me clean up. So yeah, you can, you know, you can use the sprinkler as so you can do it a little bit better than what he was showing. So if you are in enemy territory, you can get away like that. But if you're just kind of charging and... yeah, you can do that. Like if you're just... but most of the time, you're not going to be in enemy ink. If someone's coming up on you, right? Then... and you're in your own ink, and then suddenly, uh-oh, there's ink at my feet, I'm probably already going to have a charge, right? So I can just go like... and just kind of escape. You can also, like... I'm trying to... I think you can... if I had more swim speed, I could probably do a squid roll out of that. Yeah. Yeah. It's just the timing is different. I don't usually... you don't... if you're doing this, where you're having to jump and then shoot, you're probably not going to go back towards where the enemy is, unless you want to do something like... come on! Like, just flip around, use the iframes, the armor, to... you know, give him the quick 1, 2, you know. Okay, back to the video. I need... I want to rush through this a bit more. I want to get to the mini content.
And sometimes, you know, if you just really need that one little spot, will also block shots for you. It blocks a few shots for you and get your charge Devi mentioned, do a little bit of chip damage if someone does decide to stay you.
So yeah, just talking
It
about
can
the same
also,
things I
like Devi
mentioned.
do a little bit of chip damage if someone does
Yeah.
be in the position where you, which is probably going to happen at some point in time. That's one way to help keep them off you just long enough for you to fire up the spinny gun a little bit more.
Spinny gun.
Heavy players who also struggle at climbing walls. You have a sprinkler. It helps.
Boink. There it is.
Yep.
Look at all that paint. That
I know, right?
coverage.
Yeah, it's like a burst bomb, but
Again, like I said, I mostly do that when I'm using mini. I use the burst bomb but I'm pretty, like I said, I'm pretty good at doing the partial charges. So climbing up walls with heavy isn't that big of a deal for me. But if you have trouble inking walls with heavy, using the sprinkler can be a good idea.
worse.
I've called the sprinkler my bodyguard for a reason. It helps me get places and it protects me from shots. Little buddy spirit.
A pretty solid special for this to have. I think it's a pretty good fit for this kind of a weapon. You have the positioning further back where, you know, you're already positioning, planning on being a little bit vulnerable before you do any damage to someone. So having a deployable special, you know, one that you have to actually like put down out there, you're already going to be in a position where it's probably safe to do that if you're going to be using this main weapon. But you're also a weapon that's not so much of a backline weapon that you can't like move in and try to follow up with this a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
There are some weapons, like if you go for like an E-liter, sometimes I find that E-liters don't actually get as much value out of the Wavebreaker because they have to be so far away to use their main weapon.
Right,
that
yeah.
The Wavebreaker's not even going to hit anything if they throw it from where they're at. Heavy's a little bit further forward. There are sometimes where you can play the heavy a little bit more like a midline weapon because of its range.
Yep.
And it's typically going to be in a position where it's going to follow up pretty well with that. So I find it to be a pretty good fit for the weapon. You guys agree?
Yes, this is why it's like commonly used on like tower or trying to secure certain places. For example, like I use it a lot on museum when going up to the enemy plat. The Wavebreaker is also a wall.
Yeah.
So if you're in a spot ready to push with your teammates, you can kind of put it in front of you if it's especially like
Right, kind of like sprinkle. So you basically have two ad hoc shields essentially.
open area. It's like a little extra wall for you and either like rush you or kind of stay where they are. So it's you just have all this extra protection method to get tool. It's its own wall.
Thing that you happen to need to that. Give yourself a little bit of extra security on this kit. Into a game here.
Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead. I'm not. And by the way, this is the first time me watching these videos. I wanted to save it for the stream because I found these interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna skip ahead. If you want to watch him play heavy, then you can go to his channel and watch it. But I'm just gonna skip ahead, because I feel like if I watch him play, I'm going to be like criticizing how he's playing, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to be mean to Gem. So
Taking the tower the whole game, so I'm fine to go here. We're going, but I'm already here.
We'll move on to the Hydra Splatling, which is just the heavy Splatling, but big.
Yep.
This is Devi's one true love.
This is Hugo, everybody.
Yes.
Hi, Hugo.
So we'll immediately notice that the charge time is much slower to get full charge here, but for a quick comparison of the range, I'm not gonna hit the back wall from here, am I? Okay, good. I'm not hitting the back wall.
I was like, it's gonna. I was like, I think you're gonna end up right in front of it, but I don't think it's gonna reach the wall, just because it's gonna drop right with the shots. So yeah, I
very
know this one has a
significant difference there. About a full line's worth of extra range that you get off of the Hydra. And the Hydra is just one of the highest DPS weapons in the entire game. Extremely fast fire rate, has that charge for a very long time. If you are on a Hydra sightline and you are not like an E-liter with charge that you're currently releasing, you are probably just already dead. It's a very polarized weapon because once it gets its charge, it is really, really powerful and can just straight up, like, if there is a weapon in the game that I trust to win a 1v3, like, consistently, it is a Hydra who has got position on 3 players who don't know where it's at. Like, I trust that a lot more than I even trust, like, a Carbon Deco getting in there. This is just way too easy to mow down, like, an entire team off of 1 charge.
That is true. Conversely, it's also not as effective at short range as heavy is. So like I said before, I believe that the damage actually scales up as you charge it. So if you do a partial charge with a heavy, it's going to take more shots to kill. I don't know the exact shots to kill because I haven't played heavy in a while, but I know that it's like first ring kills at like more shots than when it's fully charged, so it's better when it's fully charged, but you can get away with doing the doing partial charges with the Hydra if you're in a pinch, but it's not going to be as effective at close range than something like a heavy or a ballpoint or literally any other splatling, which is why I consider Hydra to be a true backline splatling.
That was 5 dummies. I think I just splatted off of 1 charge. So
if you're in the spot, you could get pretty much like 6 or 7. So
yeah, really, really powerful weapon when it has the charge, and that's a huge asterisk because it is also a heavyweight weapon. So it is one of the slowest weapons in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a really long time to get that charge, and so the kind of lag time between when it's capable of firing and when it's just like hopping up out of the ink and stuff, when it's charging up, that lag time is definitely not great for it. And we can see that
it seems like
the heavy,
its lowest is a 4-shot and its highest is a 3-shot, it seems like.
That's getting outranged by a 96, if I remember correctly. Those early shots right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need a pretty significant amount of charge before you're getting that max range. There's a pretty good kind of indicator of how it scales up over time. So for this weapon to be in a powerful position, you know, it needs to have a really good open sight line, which that's only 1 or 2 spots on the map. And it needs to be able to get there and not be harassed by something like bombs. Bombs are one of the best counters to a Hydra because they force it to move. And remember, when you're forced to move with most splatlings, that means you lose the charge, and you have to recharge again once you get back up from the ink.
Yeah. Yep.
So if you really just pelt this with sub-weapons or, you know, torpedoes, like auto bombs, just lethal bombs, anything that's going to do damage to it that it needs to move away from. A lot of specials get thrown at Hydras. It tends to really limit this weapon's ability to have an impact because it's going to take, you know, a second or 2 to move, and then another couple of seconds to get back into position where it wants to be, and then another couple of seconds to get charge again, and, like, that's half a respawn time sometimes. You know, it can take a really long time for this weapon to be able to get back into the game after it's been pushed out by stuff like that. So it's really powerful when it gets to do things, but that makes it all the more important to make it not do things. And because it's so powerful when it has the charge, the developers have given it all of these really major nerfs to balance the fact that it has this crazy fire rate, this crazy DPS at this crazy range.
You mentioned torpedoes. Thing is that when torpedoes are against splatlings, they aren't as effective as they are against chargers, just because, you know, we have more than 1 shot. So as
Yeah,
long
exactly.
as, like, if you're just gonna spam torpedoes, like, yes, you're going to take the aim away, and, like, you know, you're gonna let the splatling release the charge, but it could also be a bad thing for your team, because if you make the splatling release the charge, as soon as they finish the torpedo, they're going after the next target, So it could end up actually splatting your team because you're making them, release early, and then it's going to displace the team.
That is a
So,
good point.
Torpedoes aren't as effective, unless if their entire aim is taken away, so they can't shoot down the torpedo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's extra pressure to add to something. It's like you're not going to get much out of just launching super chumps at a Hydra, but launching super chumps and then putting forward pressure on them, that's something which will, force them to make a decision.
And super chumps. Because it can still make the charge.
The thing that this weapon has going for it is its kit. I would argue that this is the best kit that the Hydra Splatling has had. I don't remember exactly what it had in Splatoon 1.
It had... I don't know if I don't know what in Splatoon 1, but in Splatoon 2, it had freaking Splashdown. Why? God, Splashdown on Hydra was awful. I hated playing Hydra in Splatoon 2 just because one of its kits had the Splashdown. Ugh.
So
does not work well for that at all.
Kraken in Splatoon 1 on one of them, I think.
Okay, maybe it was better there.
I think one of the S1 Hydras tops the S2 and 3 kits, but I can't remember which one because I never played S1, so I don't know that experience.
Gotcha. But the Splatoon 3 one, I would say, is definitely better than all of the Splatoon 2 ones, because I think it takes the best elements of each. The auto bomb is great because it lets you spot sharks, and it makes it so that you can just safely walk forward because you know whether there's someone there or not.
Yep.
Because moving up is always a challenging thing for an anchor weapon. You need to know when it is that you can go forward and take those more powerful positions that give you better sight lines. And you typically need to do those pretty quick, but if you don't know that it's safe to be there, the auto bomb can be a great way to check. And then when you do get threatened, being able to pop Booyah Bomb and just get a whole bunch of extra HP and have a big get off me bomb that you can throw at someone, that is a really valuable kind of defensive panic special sort of idea. It's a really good special for you to have because it lets you set up fights for your teammates. And look at how much I can see from here. If your teammates are down here, that limits what all they can see of the battlefield around them.
Right.
Hydra can see those situations better because they're playing from so far back on the map. You can navigate this in a solo queue environment.
You would definitely have to lead your shots, I think, a little more than you would normally do. And this is especially true with Hydra and Ballpoint.
This is true with every single Splatling weapon. I was waiting to see if they would mention it or not, but Splatling, I would say Splatling's greatest weakness isn't their charge hold, or not charge hold, their charge. It's the fact that their shot velocity is so low compared to other weapons that you have to lead your shots. Mini Splatling, I think, has one of the, I think it's 15 frames per unit, or 15 units per frame is the velocity of Mini. I don't remember the velocity of the other Splatlings, but I know that Mini's is 15 units per frame, which compared to a shooter with the same range is really low. So yeah, it has a high rate of fire, but the actual shots don't move as fast as shooters, so you do need to lead your shots more. I'd say that's the greatest weakness of the Splatling weapons.
For Ballpoint, because the velocity is slower than Hydra's, if I remember correctly, so you do have to lead your shots quite a bit if you're shooting at someone from far range.
You can see some of those are trailing behind the target as I'm aiming at it, so definitely an important thing to be learning with.
Yeah, every single Splatling has that problem. I'm almost positive every single Splatling has that problem, so if you are using a Splatling, you do need to learn to lead your shots more, which also means that it's harder for you to just like snap onto an opponent, because not only do you have to snap onto your opponent, but you also have to see where they're going and like aim ahead of them, lead your shots so that you can actually hit them. So that's the biggest weakness with this class, is that their shot velocity is so low compared to other weapons with the same range.
Any kind of long-range weapon, because the short-range weapons, the shots are gonna go where you aim them, and people don't have time to move away. But with
what?
Are gonna go where you range weapon, because the short-range weapons, the shots are gonna go where you aim them, and people don't have time to move away.
I don't know if he's referring to the short-range weapons in general or short-range splatlings. If he's talking about short-range splatlings, that's not true. Like I said, mini splatling has a really low shot velocity, which makes it really... Once he talks about mini splatling, I think I'll be able to illustrate my point a bit more. But, like I said, we're on the longer range splatling, so I think I'm gonna have something to say about ballpoint, though. I think they're gonna say something, and I'm going to disagree with it. I have a feeling. I'm not positive, but I have a feeling.
But with the amount of travel time that these projectiles are gonna have from this range, you can see, like, I'm just gonna try and keep the reticle directly on the target while I'm firing this.
You
can see that that's trailing pretty significantly. So you do have to be a little bit proactive with where you're aiming. As with any kind of, especially like shooter style weapon, but really anything, if you're going to be missing shots, you want to err on the side of aiming in front of them so that you're stopping them and they get stuck, rather than just letting them keep swimming in whatever they had.
Exactly.
Let's go and try, we'll go back and forth between Tower and Rainmaker. I would...
Okay, time to skip ahead. If you want to watch this, go to the video. Loading.
For, all right.
Okay, ballpoint. Here we go.
So,
never enough, Jerry.
we're gonna go for what I would consider the last of the backline splatlings here, which is the...
No. Do not... I'm gonna let him talk, but... I think I have something to say in regards to him saying ballpoint is a backline.
Ballpoint. So the Hydra is relatively simple to explain because it's just the heavy but big. But the ballpoint is a little bit more complicated because the ballpoint has multiple different firing modes.
Yes.
And the way that you manipulate your charge changes what kind of range you get and what kind of shots you get. So from short range, you get these really fast, widespread short-range shots. So they look kind of like this. And you can see right at the end, one of those shots jumped way further out in front. If you get your kind of max charge, you get the first about half charge out of the way, you can get these really, really long-range, incredibly accurate shots, which are about Hydra range. I believe they're a little bit less right now. But those are really, really powerful. And unlike with other splatlings, you can kind of just refresh your charge in the middle of it. Yeah,
so with a ballpoint, you can... what he means by refreshing your charge, usually with the splatling weapons, for mini... Heavy, and Hydra, once you let go of your charge, you aren't able to charge it back up until it's either fully completed or you pop into your ink. With Ballpoint and Nautilus, you're able to charge it back up after you have, like, let some shots go. So that allows you to, say you're in your long-range mode, you can continue to shoot in your long-range mode by just refilling the charge.
Be able to keep those shots like so. So you can see I'm just keeping out that stream of really long-range shots that are really accurate. And this is super dangerous because this Splatling doesn't have anywhere near as much downtime. Until it runs out of ink, it can just keep that steady stream of shots going. Whereas the other Splatlings are going to have to go back up to full charge, and there's going to be a lot more time that they're not firing. The ballpoint just gets to kind of do this for however long it wants to, and it's going to be able to, you know, walk around while it's charging like that, and it's very mobile, and it's going to be able to lay down this amount of fire for a pretty long time. So where the Hydra is, you know, going to get maybe, you know, 6 or 7 players off a single charge, and you're probably not getting quite exactly as much off of the long-range shots from this weapon, you are, however, able to refresh that charge faster, and so it's more of a sustained DPS kind of Splatling than like a burst damage kind of Splatling. You're going to be able to just stay out there and continue to control space, and that's a really kind of powerful ability to have with a weapon that's got this much range and this good of a fire rate. So
I guess correct me if I'm wrong for this one. The other kind of thing about like holding the sniper mode of the ballpoint is that, what is it? If you like, you know how you're recharging in the middle, right? If you end up recharging to a full charge, I think it reverts back to the short range mode, doesn't it?
Right.
So it's something to be careful of whenever we're trying to continue it. We can't actually full charge it. Otherwise, it's going to go back to starting short range shots again. And I know that's a common mistake that a lot of first-time ballpoint users make.
Right. So, like here, I charged all the way back to full, and you can see my reticle move when it changes modes.
Also on the back of this is a cool detail I love that they added on the back of the ballpoint. See your short, yeah, it glows, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I wish the kit wasn't bad.
I wish the kit wasn't bad. So, I don't know what else they're gonna say about ballpoint, but I have a few points. I don't think ballpoint is a backline anchor. I think ballpoint is a midline support slayer. And I think I say that because yes, it's able to do its long-range mode for a more sustained kind of doing this burst fire thing, but it's... how do I put this? You can't play ballpoint as if it's like say, a Hydra, because you have that delay even more so when firing. So when you're at a full charge, right? Here, I need to go back to, I need to switch over to, shit, was it I? Damn it, I forgot to switch back to, the desktop. Well, you heard what was going on. You heard what was happening. I'm an idiot. You could hear what they were talking about. So yeah, they were going over this. It's not as if you couldn't hear what was going on because of the desktop ISO. I'm sorry about that. My bad. I did a big stinky. But yeah, switching back to this. Okay, so I have ballpoint. Oh, I need to unmute. Baby streamer. Okay. The problem with trying to play ballpoint as a backline is that, like, you get your full charge and you're able to get it pretty quickly, but watch. There's that delay, right? So if someone sees you as a ballpoint and you start firing, you can see you got the charge, and then you start firing, that gives people time to get away from your shots, right? And it isn't like an immediate, like, going from short range to long range. It kind of, like, ramps up a bit as it, like, look. You see what I mean? It, like, kind of shoots up. So it's so you have this delay where you start shoot from short range to long range, which gives people the opportunity to get away from you, right? But if you get closer, then you're able to be more effective with it, especially if you, like, okay, like, watch. Look at how high that DPS is. Ballpoint's DPS at short range, I think, is as good, if not better, than Dapple's. Like, look at this. See, look. When I'm shooting at short range, the rate of fire is... the damage per second is insane. But then look what happens when I shoot the long range. It starts slowing down, right? So not only do you have that delay from shooting from short range to long range, it also takes longer to splat your opponents than if you were a Hydra. So what I have found playing this weapon is that you don't want to play ballpoint as if it was... Wait, what? Am I getting double audio? Hold on a second. I don't think it's a big deal. Let me just mute desktop audio real quick. Again, baby streamer. I'm dummy. But anyway, what I hear a lot of people referring to, describing ballpoint is that they say it's a backline anchor splatling that has a delay to its long range mode, because it has to do its like short range quote unquote painting mode. You are supposed to paint with its short range mode. That's the best way you're going to paint with this weapon. But it's also really good at slaying enemies with its short range mode. And not only that, its strafe speed in its short range mode is incredible. I think it even has the same jump height as Mini. So not only are you able to get off these really quick kills with the short range mode, but you're also able to say you're shooting at someone. Oh, you can flip into your long range mode. And I'm not saying you can't play ballpoint as like a backline anchor. I think ballpoint works really good as a sub in for when your backline anchor gets splatted, so that your ballpoint can act as an anchor when it needs to be. Now, what they were saying is that they're saying, I wish ballpoint's kit was better. Well, that's because you're playing ballpoint as if, vanilla ballpoint as if it's a backline weapon. The reason why its kit doesn't work as a backline weapon is because that's not how you're supposed to play it. You're supposed to play it as a midline slayer. Midline slayer support. Like, okay, let's take Fizzy Bomb. How is Fizzy Bomb most effective? Fizzy Bomb is going to be most effective as a movement tool. A movement tool that's going to be good for when you're using your short range mode. So I use that. You can get up on people real quick. And if you use Ninja Squid, then it makes it that a whole lot easier. It's easier to use Fizzy Bomb as a poking tool if you're up close with ballpoint, because now you can pop over ledges that you aren't able to necessarily hit people with because of how your weapon works. And it also works as a really good, just like a regular splat bomb, so I could shoot someone over there and then I can quickly pop them off this way. You should be using ballpoint short range mode as an actual slaying tool. If you use that, then its kit works really well, because then you can use Busy as an entry tool, get in, and then you're able to pop Inkjet at off angles that would normally not be good if you were a backline weapon. This kit this weapons kit wants you to play more up close than you would be if you were playing it as a backline. I think the way you should be playing ballpoint is a mixture between mini splatling and heavy splatling. And I think that's part of the reason why I've gotten so good at this weapon, is because I have a lot of experience with mini splatling and heavy splatling. This isn't... You can play this as a backline weapon, but I believe in my heart of hearts that if you want to get the most out of this weapon and its kit, you need to play it as a midline slayer and support. Because that's the only way you're going to get the most use out of its kit, even if, you know, this weapon would be better with a kit that could maximize its use as a backline anchor. I think you could use this as a backline anchor if it had a kit that was able to support it that way. But this kit wants it to be up close and personal. That's what I think the devs were trying to do with this weapon. Anyway, I'm going to go back to browser. You can see this now, and let's go back and discuss more of what Jem is talking about. Normally, I would say Inkjet isn't that great of a special, but because it is more effective against Crab Tank right now, like it's 2 shots of Crab Tank, and the fact that Ballpoint has a really high rate of fire and damage comparable to freaking Dapples, I think that's why I say Ballpoint is like a secret top tier, because I see it working so well within the crab meta right now. I think before, if Inkjet didn't get its buff, it was okay. I'd say it would be not as great as heavy, but still a good weapon. But now that it's got a better special that can more capitalize on, you know, what's good in the meta, I think it's like a secret top tier. I think it's a secret top tier. Oh shit. You're right. It's not a good backline special because you're not supposed to use Ballpoint as a backline. If you can get up and close and get it off angles with Ballpoint, then it works really well. And Ballpoint can do that. Like I need to show you some clips from me just like absolutely wrecking with Ballpoint. Like I haven't gotten amazing with it, but man, Ballpoint can, like, wreck. Yes! Why do you think it has Fizzy Bomb? Why do you think its short range mode is so good? By the way, I'm not trying to be, like, very cynical about what he's saying. Like I said, I have my own opinions on how this weapon works. You know, you feel free to disagree, but I just disagree with what he has to say. I think a lot of what he said has been very useful and informative, but man, like I said, I just have different opinions on Ballpoint, and you know, that's okay. Okay, another thing. What's really cool about Ballpoint? Let me switch over. Can you... Wait. Okay. What's really cool about Ballpoint is... I want to see something. Look at how high you can jump with this. So, yeah, it's not good for when you're right close to edges. You want to be back far enough, but watch this. See, it has really good accuracy when jumping like that. And you might be thinking, well, its accuracy at long range when jumping isn't amazing, but give this weapon intensify action. Now watch. Look at that! I'm like right by the edge. I'm right by this ledge. I can see the guy up there. And I have really good jump height too. I think the jump height is like similar to that of Mini, and Mini has really good jump height. So it's able to jump on top of like boxes and shit. But watch, look. See? Like, you can poke from underneath ledges. That's why it has a really good... Like, look. I just jump back a little bit. Now, I wasn't aimed at that guy very well. But you see what I mean? And if you're up close like this, you can, again, you can poke over ledges and you can get that... See? Like, this weapon can work really well at short range. And it's amazing that you're able to peek over ledges like that and you're still able to, like, jump. Because, like, look at how tight that grouping is. That's amazing. That's, like, just having those 3 subs of intensify action give this the same shot spread at long range while jumping as something like Hydra. If people just used ballpoint up close like this, it would be an amazing weapon. Like, look at that. That's insane! Okay, back to this. Okay.
Those players. It wants to be like back here, not underneath that ledge. By the literally have time to react and dodge it. It's a very slow projectile. So there's just not a lot of synergy with a longer ranged weapon and that slow moving projectile that is best used to like one-shot someone from close range before setting up at high ground to rain down on people. So the opportunities to use it are fewer than you would get on other weapons. Fizzy Bomb, while, you know, nobody's complaining about having a Fizzy Bomb, the thing about the Fizzy Bomb for the ballpoint is that anytime you're spending charging up the Fizzy is time that you're not spending charging up your ballpoint. And this...
Right, because you can... Wait, just gonna double check because I'm... Okay, we're good, we're good. But, like, that's what I'm saying. If you use the short range mode, then you're able to more effectively use the Fizzy Bomb and the Inkjet. You're going to be focusing more on using the short range mode and trying to get in than using the long range mode. I find that you can use the long range mode at off angles really well, as opposed to sitting in a position that's going to be a typical sniper spot. Which is why I say it's more like heavy Because Heavy is able to get on those off angles too. Heavy doesn't necessarily need to be in a sniper spot 24/7. It can move around. That's why I'm saying you gotta play this like a mixture between Mini and Heavy.
This is a pretty long amount of time that you have before you can get started with firing. And while you're firing, if you decide to throw a Fizzy Bomb from here, first of all, you're not likely to have as much ink in the tank to do it. Sub-weapon that has a lot of time with the main weapon. It's not bad to have, because again, Fizzy Bomb is just one of the better sub-weapons in the game, but it's definitely not the best user of Fizzy Bomb by any means. It's not a weapon that's going to rely heavily on damage combos, on chip damage. Like, if you're shooting someone with a Splatling, you expect they're going to go down pretty soon. It's a very high DPS weapon. They don't have a lot of time to leave before those shots splat them, so you're not as worried about needing that extra little bit of chip as you are with something like a sloshing machine with the incredibly slow fire rate.
Chest cramp.
So I'm not saying that like it's a bad sub-weapon for it, but it's also one that doesn't synergize as well as it synergizes with some of the other weapons in the game. So the kit is definitely what lets the ballpoint down here. And even then, we are still seeing a good amount of ballpoint. For example, just recently in the Squid Junction that I commentated with Chara, a team comp called New Meta was using a lot of ballpoint to control Greats on Manta. They'd have the ballpoint just standing up there, you know, constantly raining down with their charge, and then once the area was clear, they'd have a Inkjet ready to go to get up over the top of the wall of bunker to be able to control that really well. And that worked super well for them. So, like, they're definitely, anytime that you can find a place where it makes sense to put a ballpoint and also have an inkjet, it's definitely something to consider. You know, it's definitely not a weapon that a competitive player is going to sleep on here. It is something that is seeing play at the highest level. But it's going to be a little bit situational just because of that kit. You need to figure out a way to get value out of the inkjet, because otherwise you're not getting that much more out of the ballpoint than you are, say, the heavy, that you wouldn't prefer something like a wave breaker over a special that really doesn't synergize well with the kit.
Ballpoint food, so you could get some pretty, because there's no RNG on the long range
Yes.
mode, so you could get some pretty funny things off. If you're really familiar with like the range and things, you could be a little silly.
Yep, that's another really cool thing that you can do with this weapon, because its long range mode is really good accuracy. You're able to do dumb stuff like that.
Just like to take on the bunker. There's that little, like, the top of the wall you can stand on. If you have a splatling on the great right side peek it, you can get fall off shots, and because it's so accurate, you just either move forward or backwards, and as long as you line up with that wall, most likely you're gonna get the fall off splat. So it's very punishable on Manta.
So I'm not good at that, and you're probably not going to be seeing that utility weapon. Figuring playing these like that.
If I can actually shoot over this, like, a lot of backlines actually look to see.
Okay, so he's doing he's gonna go into a match with the weapon. We are going to switch over to Little Splatling.
So we're gonna move on to the little splatlings now, the little guys. We'll start with the vanilla mini.
Oh no.
This is kind of the...
I'm scared. I'm scared of what he has to say about my baby, my mini. Oh. Oh. Oh, what the fuck? Oh. Okay, so something weird's going on. Let me see if it's happening. Why is my audio not working? That's weird. Oh, it's because that's stupid. It's freaking Prism. Okay. Let's get back to this. So many freaking options.
The baseline shorter range splatling. The main weapon is pretty solid. Main weapon is a really fast charge time. You can see we're already at full charge.
Yep.
Which is super nice. That said, it's not going to hold that charge for as long. You're not going to get shots for as long as the other splatlings do. That's it.
Correct.
That's all you get off of a single charge. So it's a lot of, like, recharge and then repaint. But you can see this thing paints like crazy.
Yeah.
Really, really good
Yeah.
weapon. If you give this a supportive kit, it immediately becomes something that you have to consider. Because not only do you have, pretty good painting power, while there is a lot of aim RNG, it's a pretty good range and a really good, time to kill and shot velocity, and that can be really useful for zoning people out. It's not like, one of these wimpy little spray shooters that just have so much trouble getting into range to do anything while they're getting their specials. So they just throw a lot of bombs or something. Well, This is a weapon that can both fight and get its special really quickly. The problem with this kit is that the special it gets is the Ultra Stamp. The Ultra Stamp has not been doing very well recently, and it's also just... I don't know why they keep giving it to the mini Splatling specifically, because I feel like it really doesn't have a lot of synergy with a weapon that wants to stay at mid-range and be a paint support.
I would say, yes, that is true, but you also have to play similarly to like heavy, you're gonna want to be you're gonna have to play a bit closer than what your range lets you, just because of that you have that circle of influence that changes based on, you know, how fast you charge, and you know, so it's not as if you just point and shoot, right? And you also have not just more shot RNG, but again, it has very low shot velocity too. So you're gonna have to get more up close and personal than you would have to with some. I would say it plays. Sorry, dogs are barking. You're gonna have to play a little bit more up close and personal with Mini, just so you can use it more effectively. You know, because you're not just gonna like he's showing like, oh, it can kill really fast, but you're also not gonna be shooting at stationary targets, and because it has that really shot velocity, you're going to have to it's why burst bomb works really good with this kit. You're able to trap people with that burst bomb, so it's harder for people to escape the Mini. So yeah, I would say that you are going to play a little bit more close up. I would say it's more similar to it's not necessarily, I'd say it's more front to midline. And it's more comparable to something like, in terms of how it plays, like a splatter shot or a 52 or an end zap, because even though it has that longer range, it also has that shorter. It also has that charge time. It also has that shot RNG. It has really low shot velocity, so you're gonna have to get a little bit more up close and personal. You are gonna have to play more defensively than a shooter, but it's not necessarily that you have to that Ultra Stamp doesn't work as well because it's plays at a, you know, mid range or whatever. You're gonna have to get closer anyway. But I do agree that it doesn't work as well. Ultra Stamp, I mean, it doesn't work as well as something that's going to be a skirmisher. Mini can kind of skirmish. I would argue Ballpoint can skirmish better than Ballpoint, and Nautilus can skirmish better than Mini. But also the thing about Mini is that because it can paint really well, and because it doesn't take a long time to charge up your special, I think it's what's its, let me just double check. What is it's 180. 180 for Ultra Stamp. And let me see, what are the other ones? All the other weapons, like Splatana Wiper is 190, Nozzle Nose is 200, and the rest are 180, but the other weapons that are 180 that have Stamp also don't paint as well as Mini. Like Ultra Stamp is on Luna Neo. It's on Inkbrush Nouveau. I think the closest thing that can paint as well as Mini is Splooshomatic, but that has Curling Bomb. So not only are you able to paint with the main weapon, you're able to paint with the Burst Bomb better. So what I found is that with Mini, you're not using Ultra Stamp as an entry tool or as like a Slayer or like skirmishing. You're using it more defensively as a response to how other people use specials. So it can shred Crab Tank really well. In the latest update, its throw is really good against Crab Tank. It can shred through Ink Vac, Bubble Blower. It can shred, its jump attack can shred through what is it? Booyah Bomb. It's just, there's a lot of use cases to where Ultra Stamp is being used more defensively than as a skirmisher tool. You can also just throw it to get your entire ink tank filled back up. So if you're trying to apply pressure with your main and sub weapon, which by the way, both are really good, and you run out of ink, you can just pop Ultra Stamp, throw it, and then you got a full ink tank immediately, while also will continue to apply pressure. What else? But yeah, I would agree, Ultra Stamp as a special weapon is not the best. But I also don't, and I would say that Mini Splatling isn't the best Splatling weapon. But I think you have to consider, how does this weapon want to use this? How does this kit want to use this special? And Mini wants to use it to continue to apply pressure with its main and sub.
Um,
I
just
just really wanted to make this work on a mini somehow.
Yeah, just
they
like-
even gave it burst bomb, and I'm like,
I know.
"Aw,
it's
I'm
really sad
this
because
is the special with burst bomb."
It's sad.
like this is one of the better sub weapons that a Splatling can get. Because if you don't have time to get charge, well, just chuck a burst bomb or chuck a burst bomb at your feet to paint. Like, it's way faster for both painting and doing damage than anything else that a Splatling can possibly do.
Yeah, and like I said, like I said before, I don't think the way that other weapons use Ultra Stamp is not the way that Mini wants to use Ultra Stamp. You're going to be using it as a big burst bomb ink refill and being able to get Ultra Stamp more quickly than other weapons. It's able to get Ultra Stamp really quickly compared to other weapons that have Ultra Stamp, which despite it not being the best sub for or the best special for this kit, or for the main weapon, because it's able to get it so quickly, you can use it as a quick ink refill and as a just a really big burst bomb.
So the fact that this really good main weapon with this really good sub weapon that combos really well with it happened to get a special that doesn't mesh with it very well at all is a huge tragedy for Splatling kind. Because you're not going to want to run the Ninja Squid that would make, Sharking Hammer play make the most sense.
Right, because you're not going to do that. You're using
Donkey Konging it.
You're using Ultra Stamp retaliatory as a retaliation tool against other people. You're using Ultra Stamp defensively with Mini. You're not going to be rushing in with Mini unless, the circumstance calls for it. Sometimes, if you're playing like Rainmaker and I have, Ultra Stamp, because you can get Ultra Stamp really quickly, you can use it as a way to create a trail for Rainmaker to follow behind. So again, you're using that in a way that's helping and supporting your teammates rather than trying to be skirmishy or trying to get in and off corners, or, and like Jem said, you're not going to be running Ninja Squid on Mini a whole lot, because it's a middleweight weapon, and it's not, you're not really going to be use it as like a sharking kind of weapon. I'd argue Ninja Squid works better with ballpoint, because you're using your sub weapon with ballpoint as an entry tool rather than so Ninja Squid helps with that. The kit I have right now for Mini is I have about 2 mains and maybe a little bit more of run speed, 2 subs of ink resistance, a main of sub power up, not sub efficient, not sub ink saber sub power up, so that I'm able to throw the bombs further. And I have 1 sub of bomb defense, and then 2 subs of special saver, because like I said, if you're rushing in with Ultra Stamp, then chances are that you're going to get splatted. So having more special saver on there helps for when you do need to rush in with that weapon, and it makes it easier to get that being able to use that special more when the need calls for it.
Because then you end up right next to someone with a mini Splatling, and that is not where you want to be. So just really a bad fit, and it's unfortunate that the kit ended up the way that it is. Most of what I see mini players doing these days is, because they paint so much, they'll just get a bunch of these, and they basically just use it like I've used the term before, a Monozuka. They pop it, they chuck it, and now they're getting special charged up again.
Yep.
They'll get like 9 or 10
Yeah.
of these things, even in shorter
Exactly.
and just have like this occasional moment where they can get a one-shot splat, and they don't have to take too much time out of their regular playstyle to do it.
It's like the developers really wanted mini splatling to be considered more of a frontline weapon, but just considering how the weapon plays itself, it's just the kind of the supporting midline just from its DPS, its paint. It's kind of what it's going there, but it's like it's like they just really wanted to make it a frontline, but the Nautilus kind of with its tech, it makes it more capable than the mini, but that's kind of what I can picture why the devs did this.
Okay. Go over the zinc.
Moving on to the Zinc Mini. This is a weapon that you're much more likely to see in competitive level play. It is the best farmer of the Big Bubbler. Not in terms of necessarily special output, although it's no slouch in that by any means. But because it's just a main weapon that has a lot more utility than the Junior tends to. And so this is what a lot of people are preferring if they're going to go for a Big Bubbler, although Junior is still totally a viable alternative. It's unfortunately, not the best special right now, just because there are so many things in the metagame that shred it or don't care about it.
Right,
the top
yeah.
two specials right now are probably Crab Tank and Kraken. Crab Tank shreds this thing in like 3 seconds, especially if it's on tower, and then Kraken just goes through it. So you're not getting a lot of protection from, especially the things that are likely to be thrown at the tower. You're going to see a lot of like Booyah Bombs and Tri-Strikes thrown at this, and those, again, will just go through it and not care that much that there is a Big Bubbler in the way. So it's not, in its best game state right now. Like, the state of the game right now.
In my opinion, I feel like Zimmy's kit plays a lot more aggressively than something like Vanilla Mini, because it's different than how other weapons might use Toxic Mist and Bubbler, because Zimmy is using it more selfishly. So and just so that it's able to control space better. So, and you might be thinking, well, why would this be a more aggressive weapon and it has a defensive special? And yeah, yes, Big Bubbler is a shield, but it's also really good at controlling space, even for a short while. So if you're able to rush in with the Bubbler, you basically control that area where the Big Bubbler is at, which makes it very aggressive. It's also harder for someone to come into the Big Bubbler and destroy it at its weak spot, because you're able to throw down a Toxic Mist in order to defend the Big Bubbler from people trying to enter into your, area. So in a way, Zimmy is able to play more aggressively. Also, I cannot understate how good of a sub Toxic Mist is for Zimmy, because again, just like Vanilla Mini, Zimmy has really bad shot velocity. So having a sub that's able to slow down opponents who are within it, so that you're able to shoot, able to shoot them, is really good for this weapon. I would say that Disruptor is really good at synergizing with Mini more so than maybe even Burst Bomb. Burst Bomb is trying to fill the same role that Toxic Mist is trying to do with Zimmy, but not as effective. And because of that, because again, you're going to be using Toxic Mist very selfishly with Zimmy, as a way to try and just, if someone comes into, your area of control, you can just throw down Toxic Mist and just splat them. And your opponents can't do anything about it.
Does not favor this weapon as much. And so, we're not seeing a ton of it in competitive. But it is definitely one of those weapons where, like, as soon as any of those conditions change in the metagame, you're going to start seeing all the minis come out again.
I think this one has been doing a little better than the
He's
other.
been doing okay.
Yeah, Zimmy's doing pretty alright. I think it's because its kit is a lot better at supporting the frontliners that are just running in. You could drop like a big bubbler to help protect them to help.
See, that's what I mean. See, when they're talking about being able to support frontliners, that's what I mean by Zimmy being very aggressive. Yes, you can able to use Toxic Mist and Bubbler as a support to support the people who are also in the front line with you, but that also means that Zimmy itself is able to play better as a frontline weapon on its own too.
Them like win a firefight, they just drop this big object right for them, and they just showing. It's good for it's good for also helping that. So Zimmy, I think, is actually doing much better than the vanilla variant.
Yeah, this one makes more of an appearance, I find, in Tower and Clams, more specifically Tower.
Now they're going to talk about Nautilus.
So
I used to play a ton of Nautilus back in Splatoon 2, but its kit in Splatoon 3 kind of threw me off. I know it's doing really well right now, but right now I am focused on using Mini, Zimmy, Heavy, and Ballpoint. And right now I'm really trying to learn how to more effectively use ballpoints like short range mode. So
Nautilus, this is, you know, both of these players have played Nautilus competitively, but Aplo was a Nautilus player on my team, Watercolor, back when we played together. Help.
I was a little late to the party,
I still
but
play it now on occasion because sometimes we need a midline.
also, I do want to say with Vanilla Mini, I'm not contesting this idea that Mini isn't good in competitive, because the way I see it right now, the Mini right now, Gem is right in that it's not really good in competitive right now. Just because it can't really be slotted into a comp in the same way that other weapons with Ultra Stamp are able to, because they're skirmishers. I'd say Mini is really good if you're playing solo queue like I am. But until Vanilla Mini gets a buff to its Ultra Stamp, where it's able to be maybe a bit more aggressive in some circumstances, instead of just using Ultra Stamp as like a retaliation tool against aggressive pushes by the other team, then I think I could see Mini being used in a competitive setting. But like I said, I really like playing with Mini, even more so than Zimmy. I think, you know, Vanilla Mini I find really fun to play, and you know, sometimes it's more fun to play a weapon that's not as good competitively, because it gives you this feeling that you know how to play the game well enough to succeed with a weapon that's not seen as being very good. I'm still mad that that dude, another Splatoon SRB2 dude, he did a tier list where he put Vanilla Mini at the bottom of C tier above Undercover. That still irks me. But yeah. Which is why I thought Gem was going to like really tear into Mini, but no, all he talked about was like how Ultra Stamp doesn't work well with Mini, which is true. I think if Mini wants to be competitively viable, then it needs a buff to its special. But yeah, I was honestly expecting much worse from Gem in terms of how he was gonna talk about Mini. Surprisingly, I was more upset at how he talked about Ballpoint than the weapon that I'm actually maining right now. But oh well. I guess the title of the stream doesn't really fit then. Oh well.
All right. I'm busting it out again, man.
I literally, Apple, I'm figuring out knot and ballpoint more as well. So I picked up knot a little late, and then ballpoint is just like time to go back to time to give it a little bit of love again, because I kind of put it aside after it was meta at S2 and was like, I don't want to touch it again.
I want to quickly run through Ballpoint just because we've been streaming for what, 2 hours now. Yeah, about 2 hours. And I want to have some time to be able to play Splatoon after this for a bit, so...
The main weapon first. Because the main weapon has something unique about it that none of the other Splatlings do. It has Charge Hold. And this is one of the things, not the only thing, but one of the things that makes this the premier aggressive Splatling.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
unlike the other Splatlings, which have to just walk everywhere, this weapon can get charge from a safe position, move forward, and then have that charge to unload. And by unload, I mean this is one of the fastest killing weapons in the entire game. Its projectile speed got buffed sometime back in Splatoon 2, and since then has been like a defining characteristic of the weapon that has led it to see a lot of play in the hands of Slayer roles. This is what I would consider a midline Slayer. It's not really the same kind of like paint ability that you're going to see out of the Mini. It's just a little bit slower on that. It can't spam it quite as fast. But it makes up for it with the accuracy of its shots. You can see that these are not anywhere near as much.
I do want to mention something I've been noticing with the way he fires the Splatling weapons. You might get good success out of the way he does it, like moving side to side while aiming up and down in order to cover more turf. You might find success with that. I found it easier to just kind of do a wide spread where the tip of your... Where the farthest range is able to paint the best, and then paint a little bit closer over top of that. Especially with the shorter range Splatlings like Mini. But it might work better for Nautilus. I'm not... Like I said, I haven't been playing a ton of Nautilus, so...
Much of a deviation, as you'll see on a lot of the other Splatlings.
Aiming up and down while moving left and right while shooting in order to better ink turf is more something you're going to be using with just shooter weapons. For other types of weapons, you're probably going to find more success in painting in a different technique.
Not quite, ballpoint accuracy, but that's the only one that's better. And it's, time to kill is just near instant. It's very, very fast.
Hold on, I'm checking something. I think, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that, Nautilus has a really fast time to splat, because I don't think it's fast, but it's not fast compared to the other, Splatlings. I'd say compared to the other Splatlings, it's pretty average. Ballpoint's DPS is actually much, I think is much higher than Nautilus is. I think that the thing with Nautilus isn't necessarily its fast kill time, but its ability to just shred through objects. It has really good object damage, which is why it's being seen in the meta right now because of its effectiveness against weapons like Crab Tank.
This is one of the closest things to a hit scan weapon that you get outside of, like, chargers. Not that there's any of that in this game, but...
Closest thing to a hit scan?
With a Nautilus, and they should probably go down most of the time. So, really, really powerful for slaying. So generally what you're going to do is you're going to pick, a piece of cover that gives you a good, like, midline range position. And then you're going to, get charge, pop out, fire that, and duck back. Or, if you have, nobody else in front of you, maybe you move up, go to another piece of cover, something like that.
Yeah, another thing that's kind of like something that I'm working on integrating into my play, because sometimes I just unload all my bullets is you kind of tap the fire. If you don't really have a clear shot on someone, but you know someone's gonna approach you, you just go tap 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 tap, and that also like lets you paint. It just helps you paint, and you can retain your charge. So
So if someone's trying to come, you know, around this corner
yeah,
or something,
so spin like so you have a decent amount, and you just tap 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 tap, and you keep on like you're shooting, but you're still having charge. Yeah, kind of like you were doing with the ballpoint earlier, right? So that's like another thing that you could do. This is also like the only Splatling that I would run like I think I run like a main of swim speed. Yeah, like you
yes.
want to run swim speed on this one because you could get some value off of swimming fast with this weapon.
Just
A lot of
makes it
people actually prioritize
Having good swim speed also applies to mini as well because, you know, you're not going to be getting kills from like a long range. You want to get up and close, and being able to get up and close, you know, having swim speed is going to help with that.
swim over run on this one, but some people run like, you know, the combo builds of swim and run. Just because I have like the natural, you know, of the other, like the heavy, but dedicated not mains just be like, yeah, you don't actually need run speed for this Splatling.
That's interesting. I just run this hybrid one because I don't know, I like
still use your range to your advantage, and you
So, I've just, you know, been, while you guys were talking about that, checking the different Splatlings, and so I was unaware, actually, that the Nautilus also has the same charge mechanic as the ballpoint, where you can be, like, firing some of your shots, but then recharging. All the other Splatlings, the Hydra, the Heavy, the Minis, once you start releasing your charge, it's going to fully deplete until 0, and only then can you start charging again. But with the Nautilus and the ballpoint, you can get part of your charge and then refresh back to full. Like so. You know, let's move the shots over to somebody else who, like so. 3 was that everyone was looking at this kit and thinking, okay, this is a support weapon that they're trying to make out of the Nautilus here. Because when it had a lethal bomb, it was able to flush people out from behind cover and then laser them from there.
Yep.
When it had an inkjet,
that's why I played this weapon in Splatoon 2.
If it got underneath a ledge, just pop that inkjet and get up over the top and get picks that way. It was one of the premier inkjet users in the game. And now it's got this really relatively passive kit where you throw the rain, and that's typically considered more of a support painting special. You've got the point sensor, which again, more of a supportive tool than it is an aggressive one. But I think people have come over time to realize, and this is something that I've been kind of advocating, that this weapon can play aggressively still. Because people getting damaged in the rain makes it so you have to hit 3 shots instead of 4, and the kill time is even more instant, and it helps your teammates. It helps to start fights just a little bit more slowly. And the point sensor is not as bad in this game as it was in Splatoon 2, because you can wall off entire choke points with a point sensor. I believe they buffed its size, for one thing, because you can look at how big this area is that it covers. You cover this entire area right here. This is the size of some choke points in the game. You can just put it right there, and not only are you able to see anyone who tries to come through it, you can even see anybody who's up on top of something like that. That radius is really huge, and so, you know, you can kind of figure out where someone is, spot any sharks, and once you know that you're safe, you can move forward and take charge with impunity. And by take charge, I meant, like, fire up the Splatling, but, you know, I guess the other meaning of the word works too. Another reason that this gets used a lot is for the object damage. This is a weapon that shreds crab tank armor really well.
Yep.
A full charge with object shredder gets rid of the crab tank just on its own. And of course, if you're combining that with any of your teammates' damage, that means you're pretty likely to be able to get the splat if you can keep your entire charge on it for that amount of time. So definitely, you know, not something you just want to hold forward and face tank with, but if you do get that opportunity to do that damage, that's something the crab tank really has to be scared of. Plus the, you know, the answer in the meta right now to is this a meta weapon is, can it do something to crab tank?
Yeah.
Well, Inkstorm can do something to crab tank. think that you can still one-trick Nautilus in the state of the game right now and be doing just fine.
It's just a little.
Until they go down to it.
Okay, so that's it. I think Jem had some really interesting points in regards to the splatling weapons. A lot of it I agreed with. Some of it I didn't agree with. But like I said, I thought it'd be interesting to analyze this video or a series of videos, just because I have a lot of experience with this weapon class. But yeah, I think that's it for me reviewing, what Jem has been talking about, and I think I'm gonna start actually playing some Splatoon, finally. I think I'm gonna go for, well, we'll see. We'll see how long we go. I'm just gonna double check. Probably gonna be annoying. Yep, okay, that's... Okay, I'm also gonna pull up my chat and start playing some Splatoon. I was gonna initially kind of show off Mini because that's what I think... I will play Mini for a bit. We'll do some... series, yeah. I'm gonna switch over to... no. You get some Object Shredder. Do some Rainmaker. I kind of want to show you what I'm talking about in regards to the points that I've been making with this weapon. How you wanna just do that, and like you're putting down a lot of pressure like this, and you're throwing your burst bomb, you're throwing this. Then, see, now you have a full ink tank and you're able to apply even more pressure. So yeah, I can just go like this. And see how, like, Jem was kind of painting like that? Just because of how fast it, like, shoots out the ink, like, you don't have a whole lot of time to kind of paint like that, so I like to kind of do it in arcs. I feel like I get a better coverage, with the main weapon doing that, as opposed to kind of doing it how you'd normally do with, like, a shooter-type weapon. Just using the burst bomb for mobility. Hang back. Oh, someone got me. Is someone poking out from below? Yep. Okay. I'm trying my best not to... You see what I meant by using, like, it as a retaliatory? Damn it. See, do you see what the shot velocity is so low? Like, I couldn't even get a read on that guy. Jump in. See, do you see what I mean by using the burst bam? Yes, bam? are y'all doing? Yeah, get fucked. They never see it coming. Oh, that was such a good play. Once again, laddies, I am stuck in S rank. More like S stank. I got the X rank once, but I didn't realize that you had to like maintain like an S plus rank in Anarchy in order to keep playing an X rank. So I was just like, oh, I got an X rank, who cares? And then I lost it, so now I have to get X rank back again. Sucks. I'm gonna put the mic a little bit closer to my face. Put a little bit closer to my face. Turn off desktop audio. Worried that might mess something up. Okay. Stinky. Just resetting it. Making these plays! Back up, back up. really smack down. No safe way to jump in, so I'm hanging back. Some more special. Doesn't everyone have an ink strike? Damn it! Damn stinky poopy butt. I trust my team. I know, I know. Yes! Checkpoint breaker, yep, that me. That me! Now if I die, first one, oh, I get another, two shell, two. I guess we're not playing Rainmaker anymore, oh well. Oh, we're getting close to the Splatfest. Dodge rolling catfish. Yeah. Ooh. Nice. Do I want to switch into that? Yeah, let me see how. No, not that. Blech. Let's go with that for now. Insert Vor joke here. Tower control. I want to see if... Where is... I'm gonna use Drop Roller. I know Drop Roller sucks, but whatever. I'm gonna show you how to actually use Ballpoint. How Ballpoint should be played. So both of them are a 4-shot, but the short range mode just way faster. So yeah, let me show you how Ballpoint is supposed to be played. I'm about to eat my fucking words. I'm about to eat my words. I'm about to eat my pants. Damn. What was that? That was Splat Dualies, okay. Probably could have got him. Man, it would be really nice if I had a... How long did he have that freaking crab? Yeah, crab needs to be freaking shortened in length. Needs to be freaking circumcised crab. I keep forgetting I have Ninja Squid. Oh, you can have Ninja Squid too, huh? Exactly. Like I said, I need to get better at using my short-range shots. They are good. I have seen it work. These fucking skirmishers, though. See? It works. See? Listen, the only reason we lost is because of that one guy who disconnected. This is why I fucking love drop roller on this one, because you think, oh, it's freaking inkjet ballpoint. When he falls, he's gonna fucking die. No, you. No, you. Skirmisher weapons are a big pain in the ass because, like I said, see that shot velocity? How are you supposed to aim when you can't aim, you know? Wahoo World. The backline. I guess I'm the backline, technically. See, that's another thing. This weapon can be really good in solo queue because if you need a weapon to be a backline and you don't have one, this one can. Damn it. That slashing machine was like distracting me. I was not anchoring. One tip with ballpoint, you gotta aim lower to anticipate it going long range. Styling on these losers. I ate my words. Uh-oh, stinky. Painting, painting, painting. Nice trade. Wait. Oh right, I have drop roller. Incoming. And that is why I have Ninja Squid. Get those fucking off angles. Wow, I was a really good super jump spot. I think I'm gonna try and get a different team. Yeah. Before going through it, like, if you have enemy ink, then they're gonna see you if you have a Ninja Squid and you just do the throw. So you want to charge it up by 1 so that I have a thicker trail. See what I mean? There's a slightly thicker trail when doing that. I kind of panicked when I was trying to kill, like, getting off at that off. Yes! Okay, time to show you the true power of the ballpoint. Because now I'm able to get cover. Aim! Please! God. My aim was garbage. I was, like, trying to, like, even with maximum sensitivity, I still can't aim around corners. It's like, oh. Damn it. See, I shouldn't have pushed that. That was dumb. Right! Object damage is only good against Crab Tank. Not... Damn it. Could've got him. See, you're playing more closely with the long range than you would. Need to get up higher. Really good run speed. The short range mode works, guys. It just works. Nice. Finally, crawling up out of the frickin' mud and sweat and blood that is S rank. Ugh. You know what's gonna suck? not S rank, but trying to rank up from S to S+. That's gonna be hell. No. Nah, I don't think so. Oh, I didn't check what gear there was. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna check and see what's in the shops. How many matches did I play? I'll play a couple more matches of Anarchy. I don't know, like... My ADHD is like, prevents me from playing Splatoon for a long period of time. It's mostly, me trying to... I'll play a couple matches on a good day, then maybe I'll play Salmon Run. But now that I got the pressure of actually being good and playing a lot, I gotta do that, so... So I'm gonna be playing more Anarchy than I normally would. Normally I would try and do one, series a day. Possibly, when I do play. When I play, I try and play a series, or Turf War. Turf War's fun, you know? It's just, like, casual, not having to worry about, you know... Eating Wahoo again? Nope, we're getting frickin' mincemeat. Okay. Got him. I got him. Damn it! There's that dumb fucking grenade. Pro controller, please. I really did not want to deal with that guy. Yeah, fuck you! Oh, you gotta love that freaking netcode. Gotta love that Splatoon netcode. Oh, I can't! Yep, that was a 2v1. Damn it. Yeah, that was stupid. Trying to get off-angled and too off-angled. Saw him coming. Should have been paying attention to the backbones. Damn it! Didn't see that guy coming. Damn it. Sloshing machine. Yes! Okay. I'm getting kind of worn out. As expected. But do you see what I mean? That you can use the ballpoint, like, as... I even remember Chara talking about how, what was it? How Ninja Squid can be really good on long-range backline weapons because they're able to position themselves better. And not only can I position myself better as a backline, midline, whatever, as a ballpoint, but it also works when I'm up close, too. Let me see those. 6... 11, 10, 10, So, one thing I should mention is that when you're playing ballpoint, you also want to aim slightly lower, right? Because when you switch from your short range to long range mode, your reticle actually moves up slightly. Like, look. See? If I was just aiming at this guy right here, like this, like aiming straight ahead, then I start shooting over top of the guy. So you gotta, like, aim a little bit lower than you normally would with, like something like a Hydra. So you can just shred through. My aiming isn't perfect right now just because I'm getting used. I used to have +3 sensitivity, and now I'm back up to +5. I used to be at +5, but then I went down to 3 for some reason. But now I'm back up to +5, and just trying to get better at this. You know what? You know what I'll do? I'm gonna go... I played some Anarchy, getting a little tired of Anarchy, so I think I might play some Salmon Run, just a little bit. I haven't picked up the bow in a while. I used to play a ton of bow. Stringer, whatever. Damn it! Fucking idiot. And I got squished. What the? That was the dumbest shit I have ever seen in my life. I'm gonna give him a second chance. Because that was stupid. I think everyone left. I'm gonna have to use them. Oh. I am going to see. Finally! Oh my god. That was painful. We'll go for another 15 minutes. being stupid right now. Damn it! Uh... I want to keep going, but I am also very hungry. So... I think I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there for now. We'll pick up some other time. Possibly tomorrow. Possibly in a couple days. I don't know. I might do some art streams. Not sure. But I think I'm going to end it here. Same as before. Same as every time I ended off stream. You can check out the VODs on my Twitch, on YouTube. You can be notified when I'm going to go live if you follow my Twitter. On my Twitter, I'm also be posting art. A lot of the furry variety. Yeah, I recently posted a recent character art I did. But if you wanna find out what it is, you gotta go to my Twitter. So yeah, I had really fun. I had really fun watching Gem's videos on the weapon the weapon class that I play the most. I had fun showing off my skills in Anarchy, even though it was just for a little bit. And I was happy to stream again. You know, I didn't have any viewers this time. It's fine. But just being able to talk and kind of just be myself, possibly for people to enjoy is enough for me. So if you do enjoy, watching me stream, you're watching the VOD, then follow me on Twitch, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter. If you guys have any suggestions, oof. I'm really hungry. My stomach is making vor ASMR noises. My stomach is doing the vor ASMR. Shit. But anyway, thank you all for whoever may be watching. Thank you. And I will see you next time. Good night, everybody. See ya. Bye.